Welcome back to part two of NBA 2K26 Play Now Online Best Lineups. We're going to get started with the Dallas Mavericks. For this lineup, I like to run this five here. Sometimes I switch out Gafford for Lively, or sometimes I run Anthony Davis at the five, and I bring in PJ Washington at the four. So that's, three different ways you can approach the starting lineup. And then with the bench, sometimes I leave Russell in, or I bring in Exum at the one. Bring in Max Christie at the three. At the two. Put Najee Marshall at the three and PJ Washington at the four. And you're going whether you use Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford at the five. And that's how I do my Dallas Mavericks. Now I'm curious to see if 2K would change the tier Portland from being a tier 3, which they probably will leave it tier 3 because once the season starts, Dame Lillard will be out of the lineup. But as of now, for this lineup, I go Dame at the one. Sometimes I take Drew out and bring in Thibault, and I'll run my five like this, or I'll go Kamara at the four, Thibault at the three, Drew at the two. And this is just a strong defensive starting lineup right here. And then with the bench, I put Grant, Shaden Sharp, put Scoot at the two, and then I run Avia at the one. Avia, I'm telling you, he's cold, where he can bring that ball up the court. He can play make. And you surround him with shooters, everyone except for Robert Williams. But Robert Williams can hit the mid-range. That's kind of a little undercover thing about him. He can hit that mid-range shot. Or you can bring in Reith. And Reith can shoot. He can hit threes and mid-range. And this is how I use the Portland Trailblazers. Now we have the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets is kind of one of the hardest teams to use because they really have no defense at all, man. But what I do with the starting five is I run Cam at the one. I bring in Keon at the two. And I run my five like this here. Or what you can do is, instead of Zaire, you can run Trey Mann. Then with the bench, we're going to go Tyrese Martin, Jalen Wilson, Clowney, and Wolf. We got to bring Zaire back in. We're going to do Zaire like this. And you can run the bench like this. Brooklyn Nets is, man, it's the Brooklyn Nets. You gotta do what you gotta do if you want to use these guys, man. You got Denver Nuggets. This is a solid team here, man. You can run your five like this here. Or you can bring in Bruce Brown and replace Christian Brown. Then with the bench, we would go Hardaway at the one. Bring Christian Brown back in. We're going to bring Strother. And this is how we're going to run our bench. Starters, bench. Now we got these Indiana Pacers. Halliburton will be taking out the game once the season starts. But for now, we're going to run our five. We're going to put Siakam at the four. We're going to bring in Jay Huff at the five. Jay Huff he got decent defense, and he can shoot the three. And as for the bench, we're going to go. McConnell is kind of little, so sometimes I take him out the game. I run Mathurin at the one. I run Walker at the three. Walker can shoot, man. He's a knockdown, I'm telling you. We're gonna bring Toppin back in at the 4, and we're gonna put Wiseman at the 5. This is how I run my bench with the Pacers, so that I don't lose any size. Because if you leave McConnell in at the 1, man, he's kind of small. And now when Halliburton is taken out the game, I would run Nembhard at the 1, Neesmith at the 2, and you can bring Benedict at the 3. And then in this case, I would have to run McConnell at the 1, but we'll make do, you know. So this is my Indiana Pacers starters, and that's the bench. Now for the New Orleans Pelicans, what I like to do is put Trey Murphy at the 2. We're gonna bring in Herb Jones at the 4. At the 3. I'm sorry, Herb Jones at the 3, and we can run our 5 like this, or you can bring in Looney at the 5. Someone he can decently shoot a little bit. You know, you can't have Zion and a non-shooting big. The off baller is just gonna destroy you if you do that. So I would run my starting 5 like this, and on the bench, I'm bringing in. See, Alvarado, he got good steals, but he's too small. So I bring in Poole at the 1, and we're gonna run Fears at the 2, Hawkins, or you can bring Alvarado, because you gonna lack in size on your bench, regardless. And you can run your 5 like this here on the bench. And starting lineup. Now the Detroit Pistons, man, this is a super solid squad. How I run the Pistons is I run Cade at the 1. I bring in either LeVert or Duncan at the 2. Most times I go ahead and start LeVert. And for my bench, I go Marcus Sasser. He's cold. I'm telling you, he's nice. Start him at the 1. You go Ivy at the 2. You go Duncan at the 3. And we're gonna bring in Paul Reed. Paul Reed can shoot. And we got Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart. If my opponent is super off ball in the big because Duren can't shoot, I start Stewart. And this is how you can run the Pistons. My Toronto Raptors, I like the Raptors, man. Good tier 3 squad. What I do is I put Barrett at the 1. I bring in my guy Agbaji at the 3. Or you can start Grady at the 3. And you can run your 5 like this. Or you can bring in this guy right here, Mama Shelley. I hope I pronounced his name right, but he can knock down that 3 ball. And then for the bench, we're going to go quickly. Bring in Agbaji. Put Agbaji at the 3. We're going to put quickly at the 2. You bring Porto back in. Porto, he has good paint defense though. Raptors really, man, on the bench you can go a few different ways. Cause you can go quickly here to not lose size, to take Sheed out, and you bring in AJ Lawson. And now you can shoot. And this is how I run my Toronto Raptors. Now for the Houston Rockets, this is the most cheesiest, annoying team to go against, man. But it's such a good team. And there's various different ways you can approach their lineup. What I like to do is I go Amen at the 1. I bring in Torrey Eason at the 2. I run my starting 5 like this here. Amen at the 1, Eason at the 2, Durant at the 3, Jabari at the 4, Sengun at 5. And then for the bench, we're gonna go Van Vliet at the 1, Okaji at the 2, We're gonna leave Tate at the 3, and we're gonna put Finney at the 4. And this is how I run the Houston Rockets. And as for them San Antonio Spurs, man, I like to go unorthodox with my starting lineup. I start Castle at the 1, and I do Dylan Harper at the 2. And for the bench, I bring in De'Aaron Fox. We're gonna bring in Kelly Olynyk at the 4. We're gonna put Carter Bryant at the 2. And Keldon Johnson at the 3. And this is how I run my bench. Sometimes I bring in, sometimes I swap Carter Bryant out for Lindy Waters. Just depends on how I'm feeling. But this is how I run my starters. This is how I run my bench for the Spurs. The Phoenix Suns. I do like the Phoenix Suns, even though they don't have a shooting big man. I wish they had Bobo still. They had Bobo, man. This would be a great team to use consistently. You won't see this team as much because of the fact of not having a shooting big. But when I do run this team, I run it starting 5 like this, or I take Jalen Green out, put Dylan at the 2. I bring in Ryan Dunn for that defense. Now you got a lockdown in Dunn, Brooks, and O'Neal. And O'Neal can shoot, Brooks can shoot, Devin Book. Ryan can shoot, but he has a weird shot. And for that bench, I'm going to bring in Jalen Green at the 1, Jordan Goodwin at the 2, put Grayson at the 3. Isaiah Livers is going to play the 4, and we got Nick Richards at the 5. But honestly, I like using a guard, Oso. So I would probably put Oso at the 4, Nick at the 5. You're going to have them boards sealed up. Now you're going to lose shooting. You have no shooting here, but you're going to have to make it work the best way you can without having these shooting bigs that Phoenix Suns is lacking at. Now the OKC Thunder, man, it ain't really too much to even really put on this team, bro. This team is just so overpowered that it doesn't even matter, bro. You can go Chet at the 5, put Jalen at the 4, Caruso at the 3, and this is just super high powered starting lineup right here. Or you can leave Hardenstein in, which I don't. It's so many off ballers that it's hard to leave Hardenstein in that starting lineup. And you can go to starters like this, or swap Dort out for Caruso. And then for the bench, I like to go Kaysen at the 1. And if I start Caruso over Dort, I bring in Dort off the bench. And I either leave this like this, or I put Jalen Williams at the 4 and Hardenstein at the 5. And this is how I use the OKC Thunder. Now with Golden State, 2K still haven't put Al Horford or Peyton on the team. So as of now, the lineup I run with the Warriors is I do Curry at the 1, Butler at the 2. Sometimes I leave Moody in at the 3. I bring Kuminga in at the 4. I run my starting 5 like this, or I do Butler at the 3 and Buddy at the 2. Or I do Jimmy at the 2, Kuminga at the 3, put Draymond at the 4 and bring in Quentin Post for a little more size and he can shoot. And then with the bench, we're going to bring Pods off at the 1, leave Buddy in at the 2, Santos at the 4. We're going to put Moody at the 3. And Jackson Davis at the 5. That's how we run the Warriors, man. There's many different ways you can run a starting lineup. This is a great team still. And then once they add Al Horford and Gary Payton, I think the Golden State Warriors will give a good run. We got the Washington Wizards. This lineup here, sometimes I leave it like this here, or I take Bilal out and bring Carrington in. And then we go you bring AJ Johnson. He's a good I'm sorry, not AJ Johnson. We'll put Cam Whitmore in at the 1. We leave Trey Johnson at that 2. Kisper at the 3. And I don't like about the Wizards, they don't have no backup center. So you kind of got to leave this guy in here, Dylan Jones, and just hope for the best, man, I promise. And then Alex Sarr, he's a good, but he doesn't have really good stamina. The Wizards is not the easiest team to use, but every time I've used them, I did come out with the win. So it's a cool team to play around with, but it's not my go-to team. We got Minnesota. This is one of my favorite tier 1 teams. I have 2 different approaches I have with my starting 5. I do AE at the 1, and I bring in DiVincenzo, and I take Rudy out for Nas. I either run my 5 like this, or if I'm going against someone like Houston, I run a big lineup. And this honestly, every time I run this lineup, I stop the Houston Rockets and KD. I put Jaden at the 2, Julius at the 3, Nas at the 4, Gobert at the 5. So now it doesn't matter. You can switch, except for AE on KD. You can switch whatever, and the KD will be covered. And then for the bench, I do DiVincenzo, Terrence, Jalen Clark. And you can leave Miller. Miller can shoot. Miller can shoot and knock the ball down, bro. And then depends on whether I got Nas or Gobert starting. Depends on who will come in for the 5. And that'll be my bench. Now that will conclude part 2 of my NBA 2K26 Play Now Online Best Lineups. I will be putting out videos of error teams and all-time teams. So if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and drop down in the comments and let me know what is your favorite team to use. And I will catch y'all next video. Peace.